Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive. Hi, I'm Pat.
And hi, I'm Jesse.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into something really central, emotional support.
Yeah,
It's a phrase we hear all the time, but what does it actually mean?
right.
What happens when it's just not there? And maybe most importantly, how can we get better? Better at giving it and receiving it, too.
It's such a good topic because, the sources we looked at for you today, they cover so much ground.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from really personal stories to psychological studies, like proper research, and even stuff about social media during the pandemic.
Wow, okay.
So our goal really is to unpack all these different angles and help you understand just how big an impact emotional support has.
Yeah.
Lots of surprising bits and practical stuff you can use.
Okay, let's definitely unpack this. Sounds like we've got a lot to explore, so let's dive in. So when we talk about emotional support, what is that exactly? It feels like it could mean a lot of different things.
That's a great place to start. And yeah, our sources really help pin it down. At its heart, it's about comfort, empathy, encouragement, understanding. The stuff we offer each other, especially when things are tough.
Right.
But what's really key, and maybe surprising, is that it's explicitly not about fixing the problem.
Ah, okay. So not problem solving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's more about creating a safe space,
Yeah.
somewhere a person feels genuinely heard
Mm-hmm.
and valued.
So less about jumping in with advice.
Right.
And more about just kind of being there with them.
Precisely. Could be, offering a shoulder to lean on or some words of encouragement, or maybe just listening, really listening actively without immediately trying to find solutions.
Mm-hmm.
The main goal is validation, acknowledging the feelings. That's what builds understanding and compassion. And this is so important because, like one source pointed out, people often know possible solutions already.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but they might need help with, say, confidence or lack of resources, internal or external roadblocks, not necessarily the answer itself.
Okay, that makes sense. It sounds like this emotional support thing is, well, incredibly important then. What are some of the big benefits the sources were highlighting?
Oh, this is where it gets really compelling. The psychological benefits are pretty profound. And for you listening, understanding, these might be a real aha.
Okay, lay it on us.
All right, first off, stress reduction.
Hmm.
Big time.
Hmm.
Sharing feelings, being heard, it actually lowers cortisol. That's your body's stress hormone.
Wow.
Yeah, so it directly eases stress, makes you feel less isolated, less overwhelmed. It's physiological, not just, feeling nice.
Right.
Second, it builds resilience, knowing you're not alone. That strengthens your ability to cope with tough times, helps you build healthier ways to deal with things.
Okay.
Third, improved mental health. It's directly linked to lower risks of anxiety and depression. Big impact on overall well-being, self-esteem.
Makes sense.
And fourth, it's huge for relationships. It deepens connections, builds trust, encourages people to actually talk openly. And finally, maybe the most crucial, validation and empowerment. Feeling seen, feeling heard. That empowers people to accept their emotions.
Yeah.
Which is vital for, self-acceptance, personal growth.
That all connects so clearly. It really shows how vital it is. But what about the other side? The flip side? What happens when that support isn't there? Especially like in childhood, those formative years.
That's a really serious point, and yeah, the sources definitely go there. The lack of emotional support, it can be profound, even traumatic.
Traumatic.
Yeah, there's this term traumatic invalidation.
Mm-hmm.
It's when the negative reactions of others being ignored, blamed, disbelieved actually cause more damage than the original difficult event itself.
Wow, like a double whammy.
Exactly, like secondary victimization or double trauma. We saw this quote from a Reddit user, really powerful, saying something like, "I always felt the way I was treated after the event was more traumatic than the event itself."
Gosh.
And that lack of support, it can even make developing PTSD more likely.
That's heavy.
It is.
Yeah.
And we also see how childhood stuff can wire us for issues later, like guilt, pervasive guilt.
Guilt. How so?
Well, the sources pointed to a few patterns. Things like constant criticism instead of praise, or being made the peacemaker in family fights all the time, or just a general atmosphere where emotions weren't really allowed, or the simple absence of emotional support, neglect, abandonment. That can lead to feeling guilty for things that aren't your fault. And even being given too much responsibility as a kid makes you feel guilty for stuff way outside your control.
Yeah, I could see that.
We read this really moving story from a guy named Francisco. He talked about growing up with instability, poverty, lack of emotional support, feeling capped, he said, by school. Just learned to put his head down and push through.
Wow.
But later, through caring for his mom with cancer and finding writing, he found purpose, a lightness. It just shows, how resilient people can be, even when that early support is missing. But the struggle is real.
Definitely. So, okay, if it's this critical, how do we actually get better at it? In our day-to-day lives, our relationships with partners, friends, family.
Yeah, how do we do it better?
Yeah.
Well, one source from social work gave a great rule of thumb. Simple, really.
Yeah.
Treat your friends how you want to be treated.
The golden rule, basically.
Pretty much. Be the friend you want to have. Show appreciation, stay in touch, be there when they need you. And this is important, accept help when it's offered.
Accepting help. That can be hard for people.
It really can. But friends and family often want to feel like they've helped, letting them contributes. It balances things out, makes it a two-way street.
Right, reciprocity. And you mentioned respecting limits, too.
Absolutely. And part of that is recognizing if a relationship just isn't acting for you anymore, if it's constantly draining or if there's inconsiderate or critical behavior happening all the time.
Okay.
But maybe the most striking insight for relationships, it came from a study on newlyweds.
Oh, yeah. What did they find?
They found that the partners who received emotional support, not just information or solutions, but actual emotional validation, they felt better and reported much higher relationship satisfaction.
So people don't always want advice.
Often they don't, especially when they're distressed. They want validation. So to put it brilliantly, giving unwanted advice is like bringing a salad when someone asks for a burger.
Haha, yeah, okay, I get that.
It's still food, technically, but it completely misses the actual need.
Right.
And another great example, this parent taught their kid from age 3 to ask, do you need help or sympathy?
From 3, wow.
Yeah. It just shows even little kids can get the difference.
Yeah.
And that both needs are totally valid.
That's actually brilliant.
Isn't it? And, this might resonate particularly for some listeners. One source mentioned how men are often kind of trained not to engage emotionally. And then they might expect partners, maybe women, to be similar. Leads to misunderstandings. So learning to just listen, to just acknowledge that a situation, sucks. That makes it so much more bearable for the other person. Makes them feel you're truly on their side.
So, okay, let's boil it down. What are the actionable things, the do's and don'ts we should really keep in mind?
Okay, yeah, the practical stuff. So to offer support, first, listen with empathy, without judging. Give them your full attention. No phones out,
Right, be present.
Second, validate their feelings. Simple phrases like, that sounds so hard, or it makes sense you feel angry. They're incredibly powerful.
Okay.
Third, be honest. It's totally okay to say, wow, I'm not sure what to say, but I'm here for you and I care.
That's good to know. You don't have to have the magic words.
Not at all. Fourth, ask what they need. Let them guide it. Do they want to vent, brainstorm, or just watch a movie as a distraction?
Let them lead. Got it.
And fifth, offer practical help if it feels right, like driving them somewhere, helping with chores, bringing over food. Tangible stuff can be huge.
Okay, those are the do's. What about the don'ts? What should we actively avoid?
Right, equally important. First, don't tell people how they should feel. Think positive. Often just invalidates how they do feel.
Yeah, dismissive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Second, don't minimize their problem. Oh, it's not that bad, or worse things happen. That just makes them feel worse or guilty.
Right.
Third, avoid saying, I know exactly how you feel, unless you really do and can share something brief and relevant, but always pivot back to them. Keep the focus on their experience.
Good point. Don't make it about you.
Precisely. Fourth, don't rush the conversation. Give it the time it needs. Fifth, don't focus on your own needs during that time or seem annoyed. That just adds to their burden.
Okay.
And thinking back to those childhood phrases, avoid things like, you're too sensitive, or stop crying, or I'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah, those are awful.
Right. Or because I said so, or don't be a baby, or comparing them, why can't you be more like your brother or sister? All those things, they just shut down feelings. Silence kids, create self-doubt.
Wow, yeah. It's clear there's a lot to learn here. It really feels like a skill, something you have to practice. So with all that in mind, where can people listening find this kind of vital support? And also, how do we support ourselves? That self-compassion piece you mentioned.
Yeah, good question. Thankfully, there are lots of places, the obvious ones like trusted friends, family,
Sure.
but also support groups online or in person, mental health professionals, obviously, therapists, counselors. online communities focused on specific issues, even hotlines for immediate crises.
Okay, so a range of options.
Definitely. And you might find this interesting. There's more talk now about emotional support animals, ESAs.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, they're different from highly trained service animals. Usually need a letter from a doctor or therapist, often helping with things like depression or anxiety.
Got it.
And, thinking about specific groups. Caregivers, especially if, say, a loved one has cancer, the need for support there is just immense.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, the stats are stark. Like 4 out of 10 caregivers rate their emotional stress as extremely high.
Wow.
So strategies there include things like journaling, really prioritizing self-care, staying connected with people outside the caregiving role.
Right, maintaining your own life, too.
Exactly, and actively seeking support from other caregivers who get it. And being specific when asking for help, like, could you pick up groceries this week?
Practical help again.
Yep. Recognizing burnout signs and getting professional help is key, too. The message is really, you're not alone, and asking for help is strong, not weak.
That's such an important message.
It really is. And then, beyond getting support from others, there's that internal piece, emotional intelligence and self-compassion.
Okay, tell us more about self-compassion.
Well, it's basically treating yourself like you treat a good friend who's struggling.
Ah.
Yeah, with kindness, understanding, acknowledging that messing up or having a hard time is just part of being human. And practicing mindfulness, staying present with your feelings without judgment.
So being kind to yourself.
Exactly. It builds inner strength. It actually helps you connect better with others, too, because you're coming from a place of self-acceptance.
Okay. Now, we spend so much time online, social media. How does that fit into emotional support? Is it, a good place for it, or is it more complicated?
Yeah, the digital age question. It's really interesting and definitely nuanced. The sources looked at this quite a bit, especially around the COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay.
So on one hand, yes, social media can be a buffer. It can help against fear, anxiety, depression. It creates spaces for people to help each other, voice fears, offer support. So there's potential there.
That sounds generally positive. So where does the complexity come in, the nuance?
Well, here's where it gets really fascinating. Research found that the link between the emotional support people see online, posts offering support, and the support they actually receive, like engagement, comments, likes, it's not straightforward.
Not automatic.
Not at all. It's complex. For example, early in a crisis, people might be looking more for information. So emotional support posts might not get much engagement then.
Right. Priorities shift.
Exactly. And maybe surprisingly, when things feel more under control, the actual demand for emotional support might go down. So offering it might be less effective.
Huh. So timing matters a lot.
Immensely. And here's the kicker. More isn't always better.
Really? Even with emotional support?
Yeah. The sources talked about an infodemic concern, even for emotional support. Too many emotional support posts, like just a constant flood, it can actually have a negative impact.
How so?
It can increase anxiety, something called cognitive overload. Your brain just gets overwhelmed.
Wow, okay. Too much of a good thing.
Exactly. So for anyone providing support online, even, say, public health agencies, it's a reminder that strategy and timing are crucial. You could definitely overdo it if it just leads to mental fatigue for the people you're trying to reach.
That is really counterintuitive, but makes a lot of sense. This has been such a truly thought-provoking deep dive. We've covered what emotional support is, the huge benefits, the impact when it's missing.
Yeah, how to navigate it in relationships.
Right, and this whole complex picture with social media.
And I think, ultimately, whether you're the one giving support or the one receiving it, the message seems pretty clear.
Yeah.
Emotional support is just vital for our well-being. And it's a skill, something we can actually learn, practice, and get better at throughout our lives. Understanding all this stuff, it empowers you, listening now, to build stronger connections and a more resilient self.
So what does this all mean for you, listening? Maybe take a moment to think about the relationships in your own life. Where do you feel truly heard, really understood? What is it about those connections that makes them feel so powerful, so helpful, and maybe how can you cultivate more of that? Not just for other people, but, for yourself, too.
Yeah.
Practicing that self-compassion, asking for what you need.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Please, if you found this helpful, like this deep dive, maybe share it with someone you think might benefit from this conversation, and definitely leave us a comment. Let us know what resonated with you.
We really do love hearing from you.
Absolutely. And we love seeing you back here for our next deep dive.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
Goodbye, everyone.